Let's be real for a second. Dealing with debt, it can feel overwhelming, like you're drowning in numbers.
Right, and the statistics back that up. I mean, the average American household has over $5,000 in credit card debt alone.
It's crazy, and don't forget about auto
Oh
loans.
yeah, on average, those are around $28,000.
So today, we're going to help you navigate this debt maze. We'll break down proven strategies to manage it and really understand your finances.
We want you to feel empowered to take control.
Exactly. So let's dive in. First things first. Not all debt is bad, right?
You got it. It's important to distinguish between good debt and bad debt. Good debt, like mortgages or student loans.
Those are investments in your future.
Right, they can help build wealth over time.
So it's not about being completely debt-free, but about being strategic.
Exactly. Now, bad debt, on the other hand, that's where things get tricky. High-interest credit cards, payday loans.
The kind of debt that can really spiral out of control.
Those are the ones we want to tackle head-on.
Okay, so where do we even begin? How do we get a handle on all this?
The first step is always awareness, knowing exactly where you stand financially.
So like taking inventory, but with our finances instead of our closets.
I like that analogy. So grab a pen and paper or open a spreadsheet and list out every single debt you have.
Balances, interest rates, minimum payments, the whole shebang.
Yep. It's time to face those numbers head on.
Yeah.
Once you have that complete picture, you can calculate your debt-to-income ratio, or DTI.
DTI. Okay, break that down for us.
Sure, it's simply the percentage of your gross monthly income that goes towards debt payments. So, for example, if you earn $5,000 a month and your total debt payments are the $1,000, your DTI would be 20%.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And lenders use this ratio to assess how risky it is to loan you money.
Exactly. A lower DTI means you're a lower-risk borrower, which can translate to better interest rates and loan terms.
So a high DTI is a red flag.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It suggests you might be overextended financially.
Okay, this is making a lot of sense. What about someone who's already feeling overwhelmed by their debt?
It's totally normal to feel overwhelmed. Trust me, I've been there. Let's take Lisa, for example. She was juggling $15,000 in credit card debt, $10,000 in personal loans, and another $5,000 in medical bills. Just seeing it all written down was a turning point for her. It felt real.
Right, that acknowledgement is so powerful.
It's the first step towards taking control.
Okay, so we face the numbers, we know where we stand. Now, how do we actually start chipping away at those debts?
Think of it like a toolbox filled with different debt-busting strategies. Some might work better for you than others, but they all share the same goal.
To crush that debt.
Exactly. Let's start with two popular methods, the debt snowball and the debt avalanche.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
The debt snowball method focuses on building momentum. You target your smallest debt first, regardless of the interest rate, while making minimum payments on everything else.
So you get that quick win early on, which can be super motivating.
Exactly. It's like a snowball gathering speed as it rolls down a hill.
I like that visual. But what if someone's more focused on minimizing interest payments and saving money in the long run?
That's where the debt avalanche method shines. It prioritizes the debt with the highest interest rate first, regardless of the size.
So it might take a little longer to see those initial wins?
Possibly, but it can save you a significant amount of money on interest charges over time.
It's a more strategic, long-game approach.
Right. Now let's say someone has a ton of high-interest credit cards. Things are getting a little complicated.
Is there a way to simplify things?
Absolutely. Debt consolidation might be a good option. It involves combining multiple debts into a single loan with a lower interest rate.
So you streamline your payments and potentially save on interest too?
Precisely.
Okay, that sounds promising.
Yeah.
How does debt consolidation actually work? What are the options?
Well, you could consider a personal loan from a bank or credit union, or a balance transfer credit card with a low introductory APR.
What about those debt consolidation companies?
They can be an option too, but it's crucial to do your research and choose a reputable company.
Got it. So we've got options. What if someone is really struggling to make even the minimum payments?
It's a tough situation, but there's still things you can do. Don't be afraid to reach out to your creditors and try to negotiate.
So like asking for a lower interest rate or a temporary hardship plan.
Exactly. You'd be surprised how often creditors are willing to work with you, especially if it means avoiding a default.
So it's all about being proactive and advocating for yourself.
Absolutely. Now, if things are really dire and you're facing overwhelming debt, debt settlement might be a last resort.
That's where you negotiate with creditors to pay a lump sum that's less than what you owe.
Right. But it's important to know that debt settlement can have a negative impact on your credit score.
So it's not a decision to be taken lightly.
Not at all. There are consequences to consider.
It seems like there are a lot of different approaches to managing debt. each with its pros and cons.
Exactly. And the key is to carefully assess your individual situation, weigh the options, and choose the strategy that aligns with your needs and goals.
So much great information already. We've gone from feeling overwhelmed to having a toolbox full of strategies.
That's the power of knowledge and taking that first step.
Absolutely. So what's next on our debt management journey?
All right, so let's talk about managing credit wisely.
Hold on. We're trying to get out of debt, not get more credit.
I hear you, but using credit responsibly is key for a solid financial future. Think of it like learning to navigate so you don't get lost again.
Okay, I like that analogy.
And a big part of navigating is understanding your credit score.
Credit scores, they feel kind of like a secret code. What exactly are they?
Think of it as your financial GPA, a 3-digit number that lenders use to assess how risky it is to loan you money.
So like the higher the score, the better.
You got it. A good score opens doors to better loan terms, lower interest rates, even better rental opportunities.
Wow, so it really does matter.
Big time. And it's based on things like your payment history, how much debt you have, how long you've been using credit.
Okay, so multiple factors come into play.
Exactly. And the biggest one is paying your bills on time. That makes up 35% of your FICO score, which is the most widely used model.
So no late payment.
As much as possible. Another key factor is keeping your credit utilization low.
Credit utilization, what's up?
It's the amount of credit you're using compared to your total available credit. So if you have a credit card with a $10,000 limit and you're using $3,000, your credit utilization is 30%.
Okay, makes sense.
Aim to keep it below 30% on each card and overall. That shows you're managing credit responsibly.
Got it. What about those credit builder loans or secured credit cards?
Those can be great for establishing or rebuilding credit, especially if you're starting from scratch.
So like training wheels for credit.
Exactly. Now let's talk about some common credit mistakes to avoid, like closing old credit card accounts.
I thought that was a good thing to get rid of temptation.
Actually, it can hurt your score by shortening your credit history length.
Interesting. And what about applying for too many credit cards at once?
Another big no-no. Each application triggers a hard inquiry on your report, which can temporarily ding your score.
So space out those applications.
For sure. Now let's talk about those payday loans.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories.
They're predatory lenders offering short-term loans with sky-high interest rates, often targeting people who are already struggling.
It's like they're designed to trap you in a cycle of debt.
Avoid them at all costs.
What about debt settlement companies?
They can be a last resort for people deeply in debt, but be aware it can severely damage your credit score.
Not a magic solution.
Nope. There are always consequences to consider.
Okay, so good credit is important, but how does it all tie back to managing debt?
Think of it this way. Good credit gives you options. You're more likely to qualify for loans with lower interest rates, which can save you tons of money.
So it gives you leverage and flexibility when dealing with your finances?
Exactly. Now let's demystify credit cards themselves. They can be valuable tools when used responsibly.
Is all credit card use bad?
Not at all. It's all about how you use them.
Okay, so how do we use them responsibly?
Golden rule. Only charge what you can afford to pay back in full each month. That way you avoid accumulating high-interest debt.
Treat it like a debit card, essentially.
Right. And remember, credit cards aren't free money. They come with interest rates and fees, so use them strategically. Many offer rewards programs like cash back or travel points.
So there are perks if you're smart about it.
For sure. Another strategy is using balance transfer cards to consolidate high-interest debt. They often offer a 0% introductory APR for a certain period.
That sounds like a good deal.
It can be, but make sure you have a plan to pay off the balance before that introductory period ends.
Got it. Any other tips?
You can use credit cards for predictable expenses, like subscriptions, then set up automatic payments to never miss a due date.
Smart. Okay, so we've covered managing credit responsibly, using it to our advantage. Now, what happens once we're debt-free? How do we stay that way?
That's where building an emergency fund comes in.
Emergency fund. Okay, so when I hear that, I kind of think about sacrificing all the fun things just to save.
I get it. It's not about deprivation. It's more like finding a balance, making small, sustainable changes and building up that safety net over time.
So like instead of cutting out lattes completely, maybe just cutting back a little.
Exactly. Little adjustments can make a big difference. And remember that emergency fund is there to protect you. It's peace of mind knowing you can handle unexpected costs without going into debt.
Right. Makes sense. So how much should we aim for?
Generally, 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses.
That sounds kind of daunting.
I know, but it's a goal. You work towards it gradually, start small, and increase it as you get comfortable.
Okay, so progress, not perfection. What about some practical tips?
Automate your savings. Set up automatic transfers from checking to savings each month. It's like paying yourself first.
You don't even miss the money then.
Exactly. And look for ways to increase your income. Side hustle, freelancing, selling stuff, maybe even negotiate a raise.
Be creative, resourceful.
Right. Another crucial habit is creating and sticking to a budget.
Budgets.
I know they sound restrictive, but think of it as a roadmap for your money, helping you track your income and expenses so you can make informed decisions.
So it's about being mindful, not miserable.
Exactly. There are different budgeting methods out there. Find what works for you.
What about those budgeting apps?
They can be super helpful. Track your spending. Visualize where your money's going. Some even have goal setting and reminders. Technology can be a great ally.
Wow, this deep dive has been packed with info. We've learned about different types of debt payoff strategies, managing credit, and building healthy financial habits.
It's all connected. And remember, managing debt is a journey, not a destination.
It's about progress and learning.
Exactly. Stay informed, stay motivated, and you can achieve your financial goals.
Big takeaway for me, knowledge is power. The more we know, the better choices we can make.
Couldn't agree more. And remember, there's support out there. Financial advisors, credit counselors, online communities. You don't have to do this alone.
So true. Before we go, I want to leave you with a question. What's one action you'll take this week to start or continue your debt-free journey?
Could be small, could be big. The important thing is to take that step.
We believe in you. You got this. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into debt management. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep into the world of knowledge.